Hi there, I'm Jess Coburn, CEO of Applied Innovations, and today I have the privilege of having Carlos Garita with me. Carlos and his brother, they run Sandler Miami, is a sales training and best practices organization. I thought it would be good to have Carlos on to really talk about the techniques and what your salespeople could be doing or should be doing today. You know, a lot of businesses are going home, they're not there, they're not available, and you still have these employees, they're sitting idle, and you need them to do something. So, Carlos, can you introduce yourself and kind of talk about what you do there at Sandler Miami?
Yeah, sure. Thanks very much, Jess, and thanks for inviting me on today. As you said, me and my brother Antonio, and we have a team of around 10 people here in Sandler, Miami. We do sales training, sales management training, and sales leadership training and coaching. We work with a lot of different clients, trying to get them to the top of their game. But really, even though we do sort of a broader consultative approach to sales, it is all sales based. So we don't really get too much involved with inbound lead generation and marketing, even though we have to line up the messaging with the marketing messaging. But we are outbound lead generation, lead development, how to structure excellent discovery calls, how to close business fast at high value, and how to lead teams that do that and set strategies that deliver top sales performance. That's what we're all about.
Fantastic, Carlos. Now, Carlos, I wanted to take a minute and talk about what I see Sandler Miami's doing. I noticed that you're offering some training and some virtual events. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. Well, in these times of COVID crisis, we are doing more and more virtually. In fact, I think over the past couple of days, we've now moved we've always offered virtual. We've always offered our clients the opportunity to access our public or private programs virtually. And, we've got clients across the globe who have to attend our programs virtually. But now we've moved to 100% virtual just for the time being. And so, what are our programs? They are, a variety of sales-based programs. So that is, fundamentals of sales, sales mastery. We have sales coaching programs, and then we have a management program, a customer service program, and a leadership program. And then we have a whole bunch of private clients where we work with them but we're now working with them virtually. And of course, at these times, the world's kind of lost its mind. The economy has lost its mind a little bit, and we've seen a lot of companies just kind of turn into excuse machines, especially sales teams. It doesn't take too much encouragement for a salesperson or a sales team or a sales manager to find all the reasons why they're not closing sales. I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with that. You've been in business a long time, Jess. I'm sure you're familiar with those sales teams that they're looking for all the excuses in the world, and we understand that, and we have some sympathy with that. That's we help those people. But at this time, it's spiraled out of all control. So recognize, and for your listeners, I would ask them to recognize that left to their own devices, the sales teams in their companies are going to turn into victim mentality, excuse machines. But here's the good news. So that's the bad news. The good news is that all your competition's doing the same. And so in whatever it is, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, when the trap's open, you've got to come out of that trap like a greyhound. And those companies that are smart and getting their sales team, keeping them engaged, even if it's remotely, because there's a lot of remote working now, finding the right tools and techniques to lead teams, keep them engaged, and get salespeople building a pipeline, doing as much as they can, such that when the trap's open, then that sales team is 3 moves ahead of the competition as we see with every crisis, the companies that come out of the crisis strong on the front foot, they're the ones that crush the competition. So that's what we're focused on right now at this time of crisis: how to keep sales teams engaged, motivated, but importantly, what are the behaviors they have to do such that when the traps open, they come out strong, front foot, real high energy with thick pipelines and lots of businesses and leads to close.
So one of the things I noticed that you're doing is that on LinkedIn, I saw that Sandler Miami is offering some free online training and some webinars that kind of keep businesses engaged and remind them that you can't be that victim. You have to attack. You have to go on the offense and continue to do it. I think that's fantastic, and I think that's a great example of what every business should do.
Yeah, we've got we're launching next week a series of 90-minute sessions, one a week, Thursday mornings. And if anybody's interested, if they email me or you, my email is carlos.garrido, Garrido, @sandler.com. But I can get them signed up for it. What this series is designed to do is to think of all the different layers in the business and what do the different layers need to do to be on that front foot. And listen, we're approaching this with a complete mindset of abundance. So this isn't the time for anybody to start trying to close clients. Not from my point of view. It is. I don't want any of my clients to stop trying to close, but from our point of view, we're just trying to help businesses stay positive. So it starts with sort of a leadership session about mindset and about how to keep engagement high in the team. Then we're going to do a session on prospecting. What are the great prospecting activities people can do, even when they're remote, even when they can't do the networking events, even when they can't, go and do when they do the cold calling, nobody's there to answer the calls, or when they're doing their typically they would do their walking activities, or their networking or their free talks. None of that's working at the moment. So what can they do? So we've got a session on sort of crisis prospecting, how to lead and how to manage teams that are remote, how to handle drama. There's a lot of drama in a crisis. So how to really understand how human beings respond to this kind of pressure. So there's 8 units anyway. Anybody's interested, I can send them. We're doing a couple of other things as well. There's a few chambers that we're a part of, and we are delivering some similar style content as part of the chamber membership to say, hey, you're a member of this chamber, here are the things that you should be thinking about. We're finding a few different channels to get this real important message to market. Control the controllables. Don't worry about the stuff that you can't control, a little like the serenity prayer. You got to control those controllables. You got to be ready to crush your competition when make sales. Don't make excuses, and just be ready to come out strong. We're doing a lot of different things, and again, all of it's free. We even have some free resources we can get to people who are, who maybe they've got a team who are a little idle at the moment. Not necessarily the sales team, because I don't think there's ever a good reason that sales team should be idle. But there are people that would typically be doing a lot of their work traveling. They can put some remote virtual type work in. But we have a kind of a philosophy that if you can't travel, you can still train. And we've got a bunch of free online resources or virtual webinar-based resources that we can make available to people so that, a sales manager can keep their team, keep the sword sharp, ready for the fight. Use that time for training if we can't travel. We've got a bunch of clients and just people that have come and asked us for help. We're helping a lot of people with that.
Well, I think it's great that you're doing that training for free. That's fantastic, and I agree. As a business, we need to keep our team skilled and ready to go. Keep the sword sharpened. I think that's massive, and I think that's a fantastic way to give back. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing the videos and the podcast, is because I want people to remember that you're going into this, but we're going to have to come out of this. When we come out of this, we want to be stronger and better for it. With salespeople today, is it in poor taste to reach out to your customers and check in, or is that something we should be doing?
I don't think it's poor taste at all. If anything, I think that this is exactly the time when we should be reaching out. We have a philosophy in Sandler which is called care account planning, right? So if you can imagine, we spell care with a K, so Kare. There are those keep accounts. They're the Ks. They're your existing accounts. You've got to build a wall around those accounts, because some of those accounts, they're going to be in trouble. And this is the time for every account to get a touch, to get a conversation. What are you doing? How can we help? I'm asking all my clients to think about the businesses that are in their account, that are their accounts. Think about that business's customer, right? So you've constantly got to be oriented towards your customer's customer. Think about your customer's customer. How can you help your client give value to their customer in this time of crisis? So you've got to keep accounts. You've got to put a wall around them. You've got to be servicing them, bringing them as much value as possible, because that's the bedrock that you're going to rebuild the business back on and rebuild your pipeline back on. Plus, great source for referrals. Your existing client base is an extraordinary source for a real structured referral prospecting model, which is one of the best prospecting activities that's still open, no matter what the time of crisis. And we can talk a little bit about that in a moment. So you've got the keep accounts. Then you've got your retain accounts. Again, this is a prospecting. What can I do to prospect at these times? So you've got your keep accounts feeding your retain accounts and your prospecting. And, I've still got, 10, 15 hours a week in my own calendar blocked off for prospecting. I always have had. And I demand all my clients have a significant amount of their calendar blocked out for prospecting. So there's your retain accounts. Then you've got regain accounts. A fantastic time to go back and talk to all those people who, for whatever reason, good or bad, right or wrong, at some point you were working with you and they left. These times of crisis is a fantastic time to start retouching. Pick up the phone, call your regain accounts you used to have. This is a fantastic time to talk to them. Hey, is everything all right? Is there anything we can do to help? And then finally, the E on the care model is your expand accounts. Those accounts where you have some of their business, but in reality, you could be getting more of their business. How can you bring extraordinary value to your expand accounts? How can you be introducing them and setting up your pipeline ready to have those expand conversations as soon as, the economy and the world's back on track? As soon as the world starts spinning again, every salesman should have between 10 and 20 opportunities that are ready for that first meeting. Ready, loaded. Now, you're going to have maybe 3 or 4 weeks to build that pipeline up. But if you can come out of the traps with somewhere between 10 and 20 strong, robust, real opportunities to go and have what we call a first time ever, a first meeting to discuss that opportunity, whether it's a regain or a pure attain like net new business, or expand opportunity within one of your existing clients. Out of those 3 buckets, everybody should be able to put between 10 and 20 solid appointments in the calendar ready to go and have those conversations. That's how you come out of the trap strong. Having some regains, some attains, and some expands locked and loaded, ready. And you've got, the sales teams have got, who knows how long, 3-4 weeks of craziness where there's no real other business going on. Use email, use cell phones, have conversations with people. What value can we bring? How do we help you bring value to your customers? And, this is maybe a great, we've got cabin fever. We're kind of locked at home. I've been wanting to talk to you about X, whatever it is. I've been wanting to talk to you about your widget business for a long time. Let's have a first conversation. Have those meetings locked. Does that make sense, Jess? I mean,
it does actually. There's a lot of really good information there. Working with your existing customers to kind of keep them close and take care of them. I like the idea of keeping an eye on your clients and helping your client, service his clients better. That's something that shows that you care about them as a customer and that you're more of a partner, not just a vendor, right? And that's something we work hard on, all of us. I'm curious about
climb that staircase. Absolutely, yeah.
I'm curious about prospecting right now. What could we do to prospect right now? What would be some examples of things that we could do?
So great question. Let's go through if you were asking me that question. Oh, an alarm's just.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. You can edit that out, I'm sure. If you were to ask me that question, Jess, under normal circumstances, well, we've got a big long list of stuff, right? You've got
absolutely
cold calls, you've got warm calls. So you've got cold calls, stony cold calls, you've got warm calls. A warm call is essentially a referral asked to an existing client, okay? Then you've got cold walk-ins, warm walk-ins. These are cold calls, but in body format, right? And there are a lot of businesses, a lot of salespeople do very well out of walk-ins because, as Sandra always said, it's harder to get rid of the body. So walk-ins are strong. Then you've got networking. You've got LinkedIn activities. You've got free talks and executive briefings. Veto, which is very important, top officer activities, and the list goes on and on. But some of these aren't available, at these times of crisis. But there's really, I would say cold calling is an interesting one. I'm probably going to be speaking a little heresy here because we're big believers still in the cold call. But I don't know if you're going to get many people answering a cold call these days, or if they're even going to be that appreciative of it. Even though if anybody is interesting, I have got kind of a couple of groovy techniques for cold calls in these crisis times. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure that that's going to receive a lot of attention. But warm calls, and I alluded to it before. Absolutely no reason in my mind why people can't pick up the phone, call an existing client, say, George, I'm here. I'm still committed to my goals for the year. I'm still committed to growing my book of business, and most of my normal techniques are on pause at the moment. But I know that you know people that would value a conversation with me. How do you feel about spending 10, 15 minutes on the telephone with me, and we can figure out between us who you can introduce me to. That's a legitimate activity right there with existing clients to get them to refer you in. Networking's off, obviously, and all the physical stuff, the actual turn up cold walk-ins or warm walk-ins, that's off because we've all got to do social distancing and work from home. But LinkedIn is the biggest networking event in the world. It's 24/7, and there's no coronavirus worries in LinkedIn. So, I think anybody who really wants to do some prospecting has got to think about if they're doing it from the bedroom because they can't go to work and they can't go and call on clients. LinkedIn is an absolute treasure trove of opportunities. It is a massive networking, and I am a strong believer in a referral-based LinkedIn strategy. In fact, we have like a LinkedIn model, which is, you know, how do you use 30 minutes or 60 minutes to great value on LinkedIn, and you can do it daily. You know, you can make a post. I would advise, you know, not a coronavirus post, because I don't know about you, Jess, but 3 days into this and I'm already bored of the coronavirus post on LinkedIn. But, you know, some good mindset, some good positive energy onto a post once a day, or, you know, a couple of times a week is strong, just to stay front of mind. We're not marketeers, but I'm always a big fan of you know, referencing and tagging those highly networked fans in your base into the post, just because that gets an even broader audience. So it's a great time to audience build right now. So some LinkedIn posts to audience build, depending on you know what industry you're in, and then, you know, once a day, pick a raving fan. So let's imagine I was to pick you, Jess. You know, I'd say, you know, Jess is a raving fan. I'm going to go on Jess's. If Jess is the guy I pick, I want someone with a voice that people listen to, and I believe, you know, you get a tick there, Jess. A voice people listen to, and a raving fan of mine. And I'm going to go on your LinkedIn profile, and I'm going to specifically look at your recommendations. Now, recommendations is open to anyone. You don't have to. I don't have to even be connected to you on LinkedIn for me to see your recommendations. And even if you lock down your profile, I can see your recommendations. So I'll look at your recommendations, which, by the way, the people who recommend you or you recommend are typically the ones you know best anyway. So out of your 5,000 LinkedIn contacts, the ones that you know really well are the ones that you recommend or have recommended you. So I know there are, out of 5,000 contacts, 4,500 of them probably don't know who you are. But there are 500 in there that really do. And if I just target those people that you've recommended or recommended you, and there's usually a lot of them, they're usually people you know a little better. So I can hunt through your recommendations, you know, the people that have recommended Jess for strategy or for IT services or whatever. There's usually hundreds of them. And I can look through those and find people that are real good introductions for me. And then all I do is pick 4 or 5 of them. And I shoot you an email, or I pick up the phone and say, hey, Jess, say similar script to as what we said before. You know, I'm really committed to that. This is crazy times, but I'm real committed to my growth. And I took the liberty of having a look at your LinkedIn profile. You know, hey, Jess, it's LinkedIn, so you might not even know these people. But if you do, would you make an introduction to George and Mary and Lisa? You know, that can be done by email or by voice. That's your cue to say, oh, I know George and Mary very well, but I don't know Lisa very well. And yes, sure, how would you like me to introduce you, Carlos? And then I would say, well, Jess, if I send you an email with a cool introduction, and if you're comfortable sending that, you know, can you copy and paste the text and copy me to the introduction, and then I'll take it from there. You know, you do that once a day. You're going to come out of this thing with a bag full of leads. That's true outbound, strong prospecting. It's combining a virtual networking strategy with a referral strategy, and it's real solid. And it can all be done at a safe social distance. Does that make sense, Jess?
I think that's a fantastic strategy, Carlos. You know, it's you're if I can just kind of recap, you're recommending that we sharpen our sword, we keep it nice and tight, we, you know, train and learn and do those things that we should be doing. We look at the long game, not the short game, and we focus on coming out of this. And when we come out of this, we want to be in the right position. So we work on that. And then we look at our customers and we practice the care strategy.
Absolutely right. And we should be thinking all the way around that. Which customers do I want to keep? Who are my true attains? Hey, you know what? If we've got another minute, I'll give you another prospecting strategy.
I'm all ears.
You know, there are those whales, right? Which we've all, I don't know about if you're like me, Jess, but there are those companies where we often think, you know, that would be a great client for me. That's an ideal client profile for me. And it might be a big company, it might be a big whale strategy, and you might be, you know, because life, the fires break out on your desk every day, and life gets in the way, and you never really sit down and do any time really hard thinking about your whale prospects and how to connect. What a fantastic time when we've got some time in our hands to actually sit down and get real intentional about some whale accounts. If that's an option for you, depending on your business, can you sit down and get really intentional? Really intentional means doing quite a bit of research on that company, identifying, who the decision maker might be, then trying to find some, 2 or 3 LinkedIn steps that are going to get you to that decision maker. I'm looking to connect to Eric. I know Peter knows Lisa knows Eric. So I've now got my stepping stones. So I can use LinkedIn to identify a strong stepping stone strategy. I can also do some research using LinkedIn. If Eric is the decision maker, or was it Peter? I forget. Peter was the decision maker. Then what I can do is I can spend some time on social media and really understand Peter quite well. I could see what boards Peter's also on, what other boards, what charities Peter supports. And I can really start to understand Peter quite well, understand how I can maybe make an approach to him. So there's a whale strategy that uses, just having some time on our hands gives us an opportunity. In fact, just saying it to you now reminds me we have a cool tool called the LinkedIn lever sheet, and if there's anybody like that, like a Peter, that you really want to try and research well, I'm sure if you go on Google and just say PDF LinkedIn levers, I'm sure it's out there in the public domain. But even if it's not, if any of your listeners want to email me, I'll send them a copy of our LinkedIn tool, and it just asks 30 questions about Peter. What school did Peter go to? What alumni groups is he a member of? And then you'll typically find some points of connection by working through this LinkedIn lever sheet that we have. So whale strategy, referral strategy, warm call strategy, and LinkedIn strategy. There's lots of things to do for a salesman.
That's plenty of stuff, I think, to keep the salesman busy and keep the funnel strong as we're going through this and as we're coming out.
Yeah,
Carlos,
absolutely.
I absolutely appreciate it. Before we close it out, is there anything else you want to add or mention?
This is the time to keep mindsets really, really strong. We've got to watch that victim mentality. We've got to watch the sort of over dramatization and the excuses we can give ourselves as to why we're not working. I think the message I said right at the beginning is what I'd love your listeners to think about, which is control the controllables. I can't control the virus. I can't control what the mayor does, shutting down businesses. I can't control what the government does. I can absolutely control what I do with my time. I can absolutely control how I internalize and react to these challenging times. And so control the controllables is my kind of headline message.
Carlos, I appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us again. It's Carlos Garrido from Sandler, Miami. I'll share his email address in the notes. And thank you.
Thanks, Jess. Really appreciate it. How was that?